In this episode, we're going to be talking about making a cheesecake. The first thing you want to do is let your cream cheese and your eggs and your sour cream or your cream that you're using come to room temperature. The cream cheese needs to be mixed on a low speed the whole time. If you mix it too high of a speed, you can cause your cheesecake to crack. We want to make sure that the cream cheese is nice and creamy and doesn't have any lumps in it so our cheesecake stays smooth. We're going to start our graham cracker crust because it has to pre-bake. So we're going to take 10 graham crackers and we're going to pulse that until it's a fine crumb. If you don't have a food processor, you can put them in a Ziploc bag and use a cup or a rolling pin to roll those until they get nice and finely ground. Next, we're going to add some brown sugar, graham cracker crumbs, and flour and mix that together until it all is the same. The flour will help the crust get a little bit crispier. Then we're going to pour in some melted butter and stir that until it's all incorporated. In this demo, we're using a small cheesecake pan, springform pan. You can use a 8x8 inch pan. You could use a cake pan. You can use whatever you have available. It'll just make a difference of the shape of it and the final appearance. So in the springform pan, I lined the bottom and the sides with parchment paper. We're going to pour the graham cracker crumbs into the pan, and then we're going to pack that down into the bottom so it's solid before we bake it. You can also line a pan with foil, and that'll allow you to pull your cheesecake out of a pan that does not have the sides that release like a springform pan does. And this recipe is scaled for a smaller version. So if you're wanting to use a larger springform pan, you would have to increase the size of the cheesecake that you're making. It should be all packed down at the bottom, and then we're going to put that in a 325-degree oven for about 15 minutes. We just want that to start to dry out and start to turn a little bit golden brown. Then we'll keep working on our cheesecake batter. We're going to take our sugar and some cornstarch, and we're going to stir that until it's all combined. And we're going to slowly start adding that to our cream cheese mixture. The cream cheese should be light and fluffy at that point, but again, we're only mixing it on low speed. We're going to let that sugar mixture mix into the cream cheese. My mixer looks like it's going fast because I have the speed going quicker in the video, but I am mixing it on low speed. Make sure you scrape your bowl down often. If you don't do that, a piece of cream cheese can stay as a lump and then cause you to have a chunk of cream cheese in your cheesecake. You want it to all be the same. Next, I'm using sour cream in this recipe, but you could also use cream instead. We're going to add the sour cream and the vanilla, and we're going to gently mix that into the cream cheese mixture. Again, on low speed. Mine is going fast because I've sped the video up. Next, we're going to add 2 eggs. We're going to add them one at a time after one is fully mixed in. Then we're going to add the second one in. Again, on low speed. Everything we do with the cream cheese for a cheesecake needs to be on low speed so we don't have cracking with our cheesecake later on when it's baking. We'll add the second egg in and let that mix in. My batter looks a little bit more yellow because we're using eggs from our chicken coop, and those egg yolks are always a lot brighter yellow. This is our finished cheesecake crust that has cooled. Next, if you're baking in a hot water bath, you should wrap the bottom of the springform pan in foil to ensure that no water leaks into the pan while it's baking. A hot water bath means you're going to take a pan that's larger than your cheesecake pan, and you're going to fill the larger pan halfway up with water. Pour the cheesecake batter into your pan. We would fill it halfway up with water, and then we would bake it at 325 until it's finished. I'm using an Instant Pot, so I have a cup of boiling water in the bottom. The trivet in the bottom, I'm going to put the cheesecake into the Instant Pot, put the lid on, set it for 33 minutes. When it comes out, it should just be slightly jiggly, and this is from the oven or the Instant Pot. Then I like to freeze my cheesecake. It makes it a lot easier to work with. So that just came out of the freezer. And then Adeline wanted chocolate on this cheesecake, so we melted a little bit of dark chocolate, put it in a pastry bag, and she is drizzling it all over the top. Anytime you're putting chocolate on anything like a drizzle, you want to extend past what you're working with. It'll make the drizzle look a lot nicer, and we can go back and forth on that. You could also add some caramel to this. You could add some pecans, make it more like a turtle cheesecake. There's a whole lot of different ways that you could garnish this cheesecake. You could do a fruit coulis for it, which is just a sweetened fruit puree that tastes really great as well. And here is our final cheesecake. And we'll just wait for it to thaw a little bit and it will be ready to eat.